Hello everyone. Welcome. This is your friend, AlakazamASMR. I hope every single one of you is doing alright, my friends. I hope you have a wonderful day. Now, today we have a fun little video ahead of us, as well as a sneak peek at what will be coming out soon. Now, the reason for this will become apparent in a moment. Today we will be unboxing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck, but one with a little bit of a twist. We will be unboxing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Structure Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Egyptian God Deck, Slifer the Sky Dragon, one of the free Egyptian gods and primary cards in the television show. Now, the reason you're going to get a sneak peek at a future video is because when this structure deck was released, they also released another structure deck at the same time, which we will do our next video on, and that box is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Egyptian God Deck, Obelisk the Tormentor, the blue Egyptian god. They released these two structure decks at the same time. Slifer the Sky Dragon, which was synonymous with Yu-Gi-Moto, and Obelisk the Tormentor, who is associated with Seto Kaiba. I plan on unboxing both of these in their own separate videos. This video being the first, of which we will unbox the Slifer the Sky Dragon structure deck. But you also get to see a sneak peek of which episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! ASMR is coming up next. I hope you enjoy it when that time arrives, as the Egyptian gods are some of the coolest cards, not only in the lore, but just overall Yu-Gi-Oh! So, we'll see this structure deck in the next episode. Stay tuned, my friends. If you'd like to see some other Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, please feel free to check out my playlists on my main channel. There's a lot of videos out there if you like your Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Until then, Obelisk, you go into storage for now, until the future video comes out. And then, we will unbox you and show everyone the cool contents inside. But, today, for this video, we will be opening the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game Egyptian God Deck, Slifer the Sky Dragon. An incredibly cool dragon with two mouths. A red box. Very cool. Now let's look at the back. Slifer the Sky Dragon, reveal yourself, my all-powerful beast. Slifer the Sky Dragon, whose power grows with each card in your hand, finally has his very own structure deck. This deck includes the new spell card, Thunderforce Attack, to destroy your opponent's monsters, and draw a card for each monster you destroy, plus other new cards to help you seek out, summon, and protect Slifer, with a strategy that uses your opponent's own monsters as tribute. This structure deck includes 32 common cards, 4 super rare cards, 4 ultra rare cards, and 1 double-sided deluxe game mat/dueling guide with tips to execute the perfect strategy. An advertisement for Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron, which is a support app for the game, and our list of cards in this structure deck. Let's have a look. Monster cards. We have Slifer the Sky Dragon, Millennium Seeker, Tellus the Little Angel, Breaker the Magical Warrior, Beast King Barbaros, Nine-Tailed Fox, Phantom Sky Blaster, Card Guard, Caligo Claw Crow, Electromagnetic Tuttle, Breaker the Dark Magical Warrior, Scapegoat, Arima the Wicked Warden, Arima the Wicked Warden, Arima the Wicked Warden. Free copies. Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord, Clock Wyvern, Tenyi Spirit, Vishuddha, Reactor Slime, Soul Crossing, Thunderforce Attack, Swords of Revealing Light, Harpy's Feather Duster, Monster Reborn, Book of Moon, Enemy Controller, Pot of Avarice, March of the Monarchs, Supply Squad, Card Advance, The True Name, One-Time Passcode, Lair of Darkness, Draw of Fate, Ultimate Divine Beast, Mirror Force, Reckless Greed, Metal Reflect Slime, The Golden Apples, and Back to the Front. So, you have all your monster cards here, all your spell cards here, and all of your trap cards here. Should be a fun little video and a nice little structure deck to open for this channel, and fun for all of you. Slifer the Sky Dragon is one of the coolest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! His greatest strength and weakness was always how many cards you had in your hand. The more cards you had, the more powerful Slifer was, but the less cards you had, the weaker he was. But you've got to love this design. You take one look at Slifer the Sky Dragon, and he doesn't look out of place when you call him a god. Especially the way they animate him and play really good music in the TV show. So, let's finally open it up. And I hope you enjoy, my friends. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game, Egyptian God Deck, Slifer the Sky Dragon, ASMR. Let's open them up. Okie dokie. Let's look inside. A very simple interior. So, all we have inside this box is, let's put you to the side. We have a structure deck. Oh, so now they don't use manuals on paper. You just scan a QR code. It's pretty neat though, the advancement of technology. Although it's nice to get a manual and a little bit of paper, it's nice for recycling to just be able to scan a code and go, there you are. Have fun with your strategies. That's your beginner's guide. So, I'm going to put the box to the side for now, because one thing I really love about Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure decks is you get to collect lots of fun little game mats. So, in this case, let me zoom out so we can see this. I'm gonna have to weigh this down with something. But, Egyptian God Deck, Slifer the Sky Dragon, on the left. And on the right, the preview for next week, Egyptian God Deck, Obelisk the Tormentor. A game mat, of which, of course, you can play the game. And on the other side, you have two halves. You have all of your hints for the game, tribute tokens to summon, advertisements for other booster packs and structure decks, and the description of new cards specific to the gods. So, it's a fun little way for a beginner to know pretty much how this game works. So you have the game mat on one side, and you have your advice on this side. It's very fun, very satisfying to just lay this out on the table. So, I'll be back in just a moment. Hopefully, with some items to weigh down this mat, so it's aesthetically pleasing enough, and we can start opening our structure deck. Be back in a moment, my friends. Alakazam. Okay, at last, it's time to finally open Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure Deck, Egyptian God, Slifer the Sky Dragon. I hope you enjoy, my friends. Okay, let's get her opened up. Okay, so we have our cards up here and a bunch of advertisements. Okay, we have an advertisement for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, which has characters from the original TV show, as well as other ones. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links advertisement. You have the QR code there if you're interested. I've already gone over Duel Links in other videos, so I'll leave it for now. Alright, an advertisement for Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, which is available on a lot of platforms. It's a fun game. I've had a lot of fun playing it. And our final advertisement, Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, King's Court, which includes support for the Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight archetypes. Scan here to learn more. So, with our free advertisements out of the way, we can finally begin the opening of the structure deck. And who better to start off with than the eponymous Egyptian god himself, Slifer the Sky Dragon. Very cool card. Slifer the Sky Dragon, a divine card. Level 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Divine Beast with an effect. Requires free tributes to normal summon and cannot be normal set. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, cards and effects cannot be activated. Once per turn, during the end phase. If this card was special summoned, send it to the graveyard. It gains 1000 attack and defense for each card in your hand. If a monster or monsters is normal or special summoned to your opponent's field in attack position, that monster or monsters lose 2000 attack. Then if its attack has been reduced to 0 as a result, destroy it. Attack and defense determined. So, the key to Slifer the Sky Dragon, one of the free Egyptian gods, its greatest strength and weakness is how many cards do you have in your hand dictates how powerful its attack and defense is. So say I have one card in my hand. Slifer will have 1000 attack and defense, but if I play that card and I have none left, he has an attack and defense of 0. But if I keep all my cards together, I have 3 cards in my hand. Slifer now has 3000 attack. So his power can really escalate if you have a hand full of cards. He also has his secondary ability, which was very prominent in the anime. While he's on the field, whenever a monster is summoned, it was called his second mouth attack, where if a monster's normal or special summon to the opponent's field, it basically hits it for 2000 damage, and if its damage is too much for its attack points, then it's destroyed. So basically it can weaken cards as well as empowering itself if it's played right. And also, it's just this really great looking red dragon. It looks like a god. Shine a bit of light on it there, so you can really admire the detail. Out of the 3 Egyptian gods, this was most associated with Yu-Gi-Moto, the main character of the TV show. Yugi would go on to obtain all 3 Egyptian gods, but this is the one most associated with him. It is really cool though. So, we have Slifer down here, the centerpiece. Now we can take a look at what cards Konami has decided to include to support an Egyptian god. So, put the cards at the side here, and I'll draw. First card's going to be a spell card called Soul Crossing. Soul Crossing is a spell card. There's Obelisk the Tormentor in the background. Soul Crossing is a spell card with an effect. During the main phase, immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon 1 Divine Beast monster. When you do, you can tribute a monster or monsters your opponent controls, even though you do not control them. But if you tribute summon this way, apply this effect. Until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you can only activate 1 card or effect per turn, not counting the effects of Divine Beast monsters. You can only activate 1 Soul Crossing per turn. So, this is support for all 3 Egyptian gods. You have, I forgot to mention, Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the 3rd Egyptian god, the Winged Dragon of Ra, who doesn't have his own structure deck, but maybe in the future Konami might make one. We'll find out. This card is generic support, but it's specific to Egyptian god cards. So, you have Soul Crossing. This can be used with any of the 3 Egyptian gods, which is very nice. Now we have our specific card. The next spell we're going to receive is a spell called Thunderforce Attack. Now there's Slifer the Sky Dragon engaged in an attack. Look how fierce he looks. Spell card. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. If you control a monster whose original name is Slifer the Sky Dragon, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. Then, if you activated this card during your main phase, you can activate the following effect. Draw cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed by this effect and sent to your opponent's graveyard. Also, you can only attack with 1 monster this turn, and you can only activate 1 Thunderforce Attack per turn. So, whereas Soul Crossing was support for all 3 Egyptian gods, Thunderforce Attack is specifically tailor-made to support Slifer the Sky Dragon, working in tandem with his greatest strength. Basically, activate this card, destroy all your opponent's monsters. Then, you get to draw a card for every 1 destroyed. So say, if I destroyed 3 of my opponent's monsters, I would gain 3,000 attack for Slifer the Sky Dragon. So it's a good way to wipe out your enemy's monsters, gain extra cards, which is always useful, and empower Slifer even more. Its only limitation being, you can only use this card once per turn, but that's for balancing. It makes sense. You wouldn't want someone spamming this card. So, those are our 2 new spell cards that have come out to support the Egyptian gods, and 1 to work in tandem with a specific one. I'm really interested to see which specific tailor-made card they come up with for Obelisk the Tormentor over here. And I also really hope they make a structure deck for the third Egyptian god, the winged dragon of Ra. I think that'd be really fun to see. But let's get on to the rest of the structure deck. So, the first card in this structure deck is very cool. We have the card known as the Millennium Seeker, a level 4 dark type monster. Spellcaster with an effect. Anyone who's watched the TV show may find this man very familiar. He's clearly based on Shadi, who is one of the main supporting characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TV show in the original series. The Millennium Seeker. Let's see. You even have the scales in the background. You have the scales in the background. You have the Ankh, which is a play on the fact that he used the Millennium Key. It's a very nice little touch. I like this. So, the Millennium Seeker is a spellcaster with an effect. When you take 1,000 or more battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, except a monster with Determined Attack. Your opponent can choose one monster from their deck, except a monster with Determined Attack. If they choose not to, or if the targeted monster has higher attack than the chosen monster, special summon the targeted monster to your field, and if you do, shuffle the chosen monster back into the deck. Otherwise, your opponent adds the chosen monster to the hand. You can only use each effect of Millennium Seeker once per turn. So, let's see. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard. Let's see. So it's kind of a gamble you can play off with. It's an interesting concept for a card. I like it most just for the design. It's very cool to see Shadi become his own card. So, that's our first monster card that is not an Egyptian god. Now, our next card's going to be a trap card called Ultimate Divine Beast. We get to see a different variation of Slifer the Sky Dragon's art. So, trap card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard one spell or trap, then target one Divine Beast monster in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position, then change the attack target to it. During the end phase, if you control a Divine Beast monster, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls that activated their effects on the field this turn. You can only use each effect of Ultimate Divine Beast once per turn. So, this is a great way to summon an Egyptian god, but you need to have the opponent declare an attack and discard a spell and trap, and you need to have an Egyptian god in the graveyard. So, it's kind of hit or miss. It can be really powerful if you use it right, but it can really hurt you at the same time, because Egyptian gods don't like being resurrected from the graveyard. It's kind of seen as a loophole. You're not supposed to be able to summon them through a special summon. You can have them for a turn, but no longer. But with a card like this, you can take advantage by bringing them back and wiping out all face-up cards. So you can see the advantage in resurrecting an Egyptian god, even for one turn, to activate an effect like this. And that is Ultimate Divine Beast. Our next card is a light type level 3 monster called Tellus the Little Angel. A cute little angel. So, fairy with an effect. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can special summon one Tellus Wing token. Fairy light type level 1, attack and defense of 0. While you control a Tellus Wing token, you can banish this card from your graveyard and one spell from your hand. special summon 2 Teleswing tokens. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except from your hand. You can only use each effect of Telis the Little Angel once per turn. So, I see where they're going with this card. This card's pretty much used when it goes in the graveyard. You can banish it and summon 2 Telis tokens. It's pretty much used to spam the field with fodder. Spam the field with cards that can be tributed to summon something powerful, exactly like an Egyptian god, because they're one of the few creatures in Yu-Gi-Oh! That requires free tributes. Most powerful monsters require 1 or 2 or sometimes free tributes, but the Egyptian gods are very specific in requiring free pretty much at all times. So spamming the field with monsters like Telis the Little Angel is a good way to get your god cards out on the field in good time. So, that was Telis the Little Angel. Our next card is the level 4 water type, Reactor Slime. This is a callback to when Yugi duels Marek, or Strings, whom he's mind-controlled, who has a card called the Jam Breeding Machine. He spammed the field with slime tokens to summon his Egyptian god. Reactor Slime is a level 4 card, Aqua, with an effect. Reactor Slime. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Special summon 2 slime tokens, Aqua Water level 1, attack and defense 500. Also, you cannot normal summon or special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except Divine Beast monsters. Pretty useful detail. During the battle phase, quick effect, you can tribute this card. Set 1 Metal Reflect Slime from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It can be activated this turn. You can only use each effect of Reactor Slime once per turn. Attack and defense of 500. Now, here's another card that allows you to spam the field with tokens to summon Slifer, or you can use this monster's quick effect to set Metal Reflect Slime, which is a great and fantastic card for stalling the opponent, giving you enough time to summon your chosen Egyptian god card. Reactor Slime works very well, just like it did in the TV show. So, that was Reactor Slime. Our next card is a very simple one, but it's a classic. We have the spell card called Harpy's Feather Duster. This card's been around Yu-Gi-Oh! For years, and it's still devastating to this day. Harpy's Feather Duster. It was used by My Valentine at first, but it's so useful you can sprinkle it in any deck and it would work. Simple effect. Destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. That's it. This card was banned for many years because anyone can see the advantage to this. Destroy all spell and traps. That's it. There's no setback, there's no setup, there's no comeuppance. You just destroy the opponent's back row. As simple as that. And that is why a card like Harpy's Feather Duster can remain powerful to this day. Being able to just destroy something and it doesn't tell you to do something before or after, just being able to do something with no drawbacks is in itself a great strength. And that is Harpy's Feather Duster in a nutshell. Next, we have another card that's been around for a few years. And while not the most powerful card, I think he's got one of the coolest designs in the game. We have the level 4 dark type, Breaker the Magical Warrior. Look at this mystic knight. We have symbols for spell counters on his shield, sword, and chest. Very cool looking. He is a level 4 spellcaster, dark type, with an effect. If this card is normal summoned, place 1 spell counter on it, maximum of 1. Gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove one spell counter from this card, then target one spell and trap on the field. Destroy that target. An attack of 1600 and a defense of 1000. So, just by summoning this card, it gains a spell counter. It can only hold one. So, just by summoning it, it gains a spell counter, and its attack becomes 1900, which is really great for a level 4 monster. 1900's a lot, it's good. But, if you have a spell or trap in the way, by removing 300 attack, you can destroy a spell or trap, and you're still left with a respectable 1600 attack, making Breaker the Magical Warrior a great card that can be used to beat down an opponent or wipe out the spell and traps, as well as having an amazingly cool design. This card was used by Yugimoto as well. Really ties into the aesthetic his cards have, where the Dark Magician have these kind of like pointy hats and sparkly armor. Very nice. Breaker the Magical Warrior. And our next card's going to be an elf-type monster known as Beast King Barbaros. 2, 4, 6, 8. A level 8 elf beast warrior with an effect. That's a cool design, isn't it? Beast King Barbaros. You can normal summon or set this card without tributing, but its original attack becomes 1900. You can tribute free monsters to tribute summon, but not set this card. If summoned this way, destroy all cards your opponent controls. It has a power, an attack of 3000, and a defense of 1200. So Beast King Barbaros is just a kind of generic attacker. You can spam the field with lots of tokens and summon this card with free tributes, not only to wipe out the entire field, but get a monster with 3000 attack in the field. So this card's got a lot of utility. You can use it in 3 ways. If this is the only card in your hand and you need it out in an emergency, you can summon it with one. In fact, no, you can summon it without a tribute, but it becomes 1900 attack. That's still, as I said earlier on, very respectable attack. You can summon it the normal way with 2 tributes to obtain a monster with 3000 attack. Or go the extra mile and sacrifice 3 monsters to gain a 3000 monster attack with the board being wiped of cards. So I understand why they added this card to the structure deck. Beast King Barbaros. And it's not often you get cards with over 3000 attack. A nice addition to the structure deck. So, our next card is going to be a fire-type monster called the Nine-Tailed Fox. A level 2, 4, 6. A level 6 fire-type monster. A zombie with an effect. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can tribute 2 monsters. Special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Nine-Tailed Fox once per turn. If this card that was special summoned from the graveyard attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 2 Fox tokens, Zombie Fire, level 2 attack and defense of 500. It has an attack of 2200 and a defense of 2000. So, you have a card that can inflict piercing battle damage, as well as summon tokens in the field. As many tokens on the field as possible increases your chance of being able to summon stronger cards. Hence, why something like, I was about to say 5-tailed fox. Don't know where that came from. 9-tailed fox. That's what we're looking for. Pretty cool design. It's quite ferocious, doesn't it? So, Nine-tailed fox. Let me move that up. Okay, so got quite a few cards to go through. So let's get to the next one, which is going to be a dark type card, level 4, called Phantom Sky Blaster. Really creepy looking thing. Phantom Sky Blaster, a fiend with an effect, level 4. When this card is normal or flip summoned, you can special summon any number of Sky Blaster tokens. Fiend Dark, level 4, attack 500, defense 500, up to the number of monsters you control. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Sky Blaster monster you control. Sky Blaster monsters you control cannot declare an attack during the turn you activate this effect. So, Phantom Sky Blaster spams the field with tokens, and can inflict damage depending on how many monsters you control. So, say you had 5 monsters on the field, you would be able to inflict 300 damage for each one. 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So, if you had a full field, you can inflict 1500 points of burn damage, which is pretty nice. Assuming I got the maths correct this time. And that is Phantom Sky Blaster. What do you know? A card that summons tokens. We're going to see that a lot, I think. Our next card's going to be another dark type monster known as Card Guard. It's weird. It's like this humanoid manta ray looking thing. Card Guard, level 4 dark type monster. Ew. It's like drooling out of its chest. A fiend with an effect. If this card is normal or special summon, place 1 guard counter on it. This card gains 300 attack for each guard counter on it. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control. Remove 1 guard counter from this card, and if you do, place 1 guard counter on that target. If this card would ever be destroyed, remove 1 guard counter from it instead. An attack of 1600 and a defense of 500. So, this card can basically place a counter on another card, and when it does so, whenever it would be destroyed, you can remove the counter instead to save it. I think it would make more sense if it had 1600 defense rather than 1600 attack. But, hey-o, it's a cool concept though. Okay, I take 1 counter, add it to the Millennium Seeker. Now, if Millennium Seeker is going to be destroyed, he has to remove a guard counter, and then that doesn't happen. So it's good at protecting your cards. As malevolent as it looks, it's actually quite protective of its friends. So, don't judge by appearances. He does look pretty cool. It's just unconventional. But hey, I can dig that. Pretty cool. I also noticed that he's actually on a card, so he is literally card guarding. And that was Card Guard. Pretty strange little guy. Okay, excuse me. Our next card's going to be another dark type card called Caligo Claw Crow, a level 2 dark type monster. A winged beast with an effect. If you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Caligo Claw Crow once per turn this way. An attack of 900 and defense of 600. Very straightforward. This card probably isn't going to defend you against much. It's not going to beat much things in battle with 900 attack. But if you have a dark monster in your possession, you can automatically summon it for free. So, say you had 2 tokens out. As long as one of them's dark, you can automatically summon this from your hand. There you go. You've got all the setup for an Egyptian god or a Beast King Barbaros. Your options are quite good as well because it's generic. It's a dark monster. It's not asking for winged beasts or dragons or anything. It's asking for dark types, which is one of the most popular attributes in the game, if not the most popular. So, Caligo, Claw, Crow. Deceptively useful. Our next card's going to be quite a cool one. I really like this one. We have the Electromagnetic Turtle. Electromagnetic Turtle. A level 4 light type monster. Machine with an effect. During your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. End the battle phase. You can only use this effect of Electromagnetic Turtle once per duel. 0 attack, but 1800 defense. You know a card's got a really good effect when it has the rules. You can only activate this once per duel. Imagine if you were able to activate this like every turn. It would break the game. Electromagnetic Turtle's not going to damage anything. It can just defend you from 1800 points of damage. But when it's in the graveyard, during your opponent's battle phase, you can at least once turn around and say, the battle phase is over. Go away. And you're allowed to do that because of your friend, Electromagnetic Turtle, helping you from beyond the grave, which is a really cool feature. A really nice design. So, Electromagnetic Turtle. Now we're going to get to see a card which I think is one of the coolest designs in Yu-Gi-Oh!, even if it's not the most popular. It's actually a variation of a card we've already seen. So, we've got Breaker the Magical Warrior here. Now, let's see what would happen if he took along the path of the dark side. We now have Breaker, the Dark Magical Warrior. Breaker, the Dark Magical Warrior. Let's have a look. A level 5 Dark type monster. Very nice design. I love the armor. So, Spellcaster with an effect. If this card is normal summoned, place 2 spell counters on it. If this card is pendulum summoned, place 3 spell counters on it. It gains 400 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove 1 spell counter from this card, then target 1 spell or trap on the field. Destroy it. You can only use this effect of Breaker the Dark Magical Warrior once per turn. So, it's got the same attack and defense as the regular Breaker, the Dark Magical Warrior. So, Dark Magical Breaker has 1600 attack and 1000 defense. Regular Breaker has the exact same. The only difference is, Breaker is a level 6 monster, so he requires a tribute to summon. So, if you can summon him, he gains 2 spell counters, which give him 400 attack for each. So, he goes from 1600 to 2000 attack with 1 spell counter. With 2, he goes to 2400. If you manage to pendulum summon him, he gains 3 spell counters, going from 1600 to 2000 to 2400 to 2800. So by pendulum summoning Breaker the Dark Magical Warrior, you get a card that has 2800 attack, and also has the feature, if it wants, by weakening itself, to destroy spell and trap cards. It's a bit more difficult to summon, not gonna lie, but it's got so much more potential if you're willing to try it out. And that is Breaker, the Dark Magical Warrior. I love seeing dark variations of cards. I could seriously look at any card and love to see a dark variation. I just think the whole color scheme is very cool. Okay. Next, we're going to take a look at another dark card. The level 1 card known as Scapegoat. Zombie flip tuner with an effect. A flip effect. Flip up. You can special summon any number of black sheep tokens. Zombie, dark, level 1, attack and defense of 0. The card itself has an attack and defense of 0. So, that's pretty good. Flip it face up. You can spam the field with as many scapegoats as you want. Very, very useful if you need to tribute something. The fact that you can just choose how many tokens are on the field. Okay, I only want 1, so I've got 1 token. I want the whole field filled up. I can do that too. Scapegoat may look harmless, but its application is very useful. Plus, pretty cute, isn't it? Scapegoat. Our next card's going to be... In fact, our next 3 cards are going to be... This is the only card in the entire structure deck that we're getting more than 2 copies of. We have Arima, the Wicked Warden. 3 copies. So, I'll put 2 of them down here for now. Take a look at this one. Now, Arima, the Wicked Warden, is a level 4 dark type monster. Fiend with an effect. You can discard this card. Add 1 Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand. You can tribute 1 dark monster. Draw 1 card. Or if you tributed a dark monster other than this card to activate this effect, you can add a dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from your deck to your hand instead. You can only use this effect of Arima, the Wicked Warden, once per turn. So, you can add Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand, which is a useful card. Or, you can tribute a dark monster to draw a card, which is useful for gaining strength for Slifer the Sky Dragon. Your applications with Arima, the Wicked Warden, are many, and it's up to yourself how you use them. So, implementing them in a way where we can have more cards in our hand is definitely useful. And that was 3 copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden. And so, let me guess, is it going to be a dark card? It is. Our next dark card is the Dark Attribute, level 4 monster, named Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. Quite expressive, isn't he? Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. Fiend with an effect. You can tribute any number of dark monsters and special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, it gains 500 attack for each monster you tributed. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 level 5 or higher dark monster in your graveyard. Add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord, once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate either of this card's effects, except dark monsters. He has an attack of 500 and a defense of 2,000. So, he can use other dark monsters to power himself up by 500 attack. So, he can potentially increase his attack by up to 2,000. And, if you can normal or special summon him, you can target a level 5 or higher dark monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is very useful. That is Duke Shade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. And our next card's going to be... Oh, it's not a dark monster. What a change of pace. We have the level 4 Clock Wyvern. I don't know with my accent if I'm supposed to say Wyvern or Wyvern. I don't know. I always call them Wyverns. That's possibly wrong. I don't know. When I play games like Monster Hunter and you have Wyverns, I call them Wyverns. I don't know if it's pronouncing it wrong. It's just what I do. So hopefully if you don't mind me saying that, this is the Clock Wyvern. We have a level 4 Wind type monster. Cyberse with an effect. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can half this card's attack, and if you do, special summon 1 clock token. Cyberse Wind level 1 attack and defense 0. You can only use this effect of Clock Wyvern once per turn. An attack of 1800 and a defense of 1000. Pretty straightforward. It's your typical 1800 attack monster. If you don't mind halving its attack to 900, you get a clock token. So, even if this gets destroyed, you'll still have the token to survive it. So, another way to spam the field with cards. And that is the Clock Wyvern. Our next card's going to be... Excuse me. Ooh, this looks interesting. We have a dark monster. Let me get the light out here so you can see it better. We have... Ooh, I like that. Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha, a level 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A level 7 dark type monster. Really cool, the Spectral Spirit. A worm with an effect. If you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard. Then target 1 card your opponent controls. Return it to the hand. You can only use each effect of Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha once per turn. 1500 attack and 2500 defense. Very useful. So, if you can get this out in the field, 2500 defense is pretty good. Also, if you don't have any effect monsters, you can special summon it straight from your hand, which is good considering this is a level 7 card. Or, if you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 card your opponent controls. So, not only can it summon itself easy, defend well, but you can actually return an opponent's monster to the hand, which in some cases is more devastating than actually destroying it. There's some cards where, if you were to destroy it, your opponent would be like, okay, you've done me a favor. Returning it to the hand is sometimes the worst thing you can do, depending on the opponent's strategy. And that is Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha. That's a really cool artwork. So, we're now going to get into the bulk of our spell cards. Do we have any more monsters left? No. So that's all the monsters in the structure deck. All we got left are spell and trap cards. I hope you've been enjoying this video, my friends. I really do. So, now that we know what's lying ahead, I put a spell on you. Starting off with the classic card, Swords of Revealing Light. One of the cards that epitomizes stalling and slowing down the game. Here's why. Swords of Revealing Light's effect. After this card's activation, it remains in the field, but you must destroy it during the end phase of your opponent's third turn. When this card is activated, if your opponent controls a face-down monster, flip all monsters on the field face up. While this card is face up on the field, your opponent's monsters cannot declare an attack. So, Swords of Revealing Light in a nutshell. Your opponent's got cards face down. This flips them all face up. And 3 turns, your opponent isn't allowed to declare an attack while this is on the field. So, it's a fantastic way to stall the opponent out for 3 turns if they don't have anything that can destroy spells or traps. And that's what makes Swords of Revealing Light one of the most useful cards in the entire game. And it continues to be. Not the most fun card to use if you're getting hit with it, but it's very practical. Our next card is another classic, the spell card known as Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn does what it says on the tin. Target one card in either graveyard. Special summon it. So, this is what makes Monster Reborn so useful. You're pretty much only allowed one of these, like tops. It gets banned, unbanned, and then allowed. It kind of depends. But Monster Reborn's beautiful because it's not restricted to bringing back one of your own monsters. You can bring back your opponents as well, meaning you can get up to all kind of shenanigans. Hence why Monster Reborn is incredibly useful. Monster Reborn. Target one monster in either graveyard and special summon it. That is Monster Reborn. Our next spell card is a spell card known as the Book of Moon. A very pretty looking card here. Stone tablet design. The Book of Moon. Target one face-up monster on the field. Change that target to face-down defense position. Oh, wait a minute. That's a nice touch I might have spotted there. I think the book is back to front. Because I'm pretty sure in like Egyptian culture, is it not true that you had to read the other way around? I do know that's a thing in like, with Arabic languages, you have to read from the right side of the book. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a nice little touch to add. You don't read it from the left, you read it from the right. That's a nice little touch. If it's correct, that is. I could be just talking complete garbage. Anyways, Book of Moon, spell card. Target one face-up monster in the field. Change that target to face-down defense position. This is useful depending on how you use it. Now, with certain cards, this is absolutely amazing. Say you use this with Scapegoat. Scapegoat's only purpose is to spam the field with Scapegoats. That only happens when you flip it face up. But with Book of Moon, you can turn it face down again, meaning you can spam the field again. Being able to activate flip effects again is devastating, because not a lot of cards make it easy for you to do that. And Book of Moon is just a straightforward spell card. Turn you face down yet again. And that is the spell card known as Book of Moon. Our next spell card is going to be Enemy Controller spell card. Pull off some pro plays with Enemy Controller. Activate one of these effects. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Change that target's battle position. Or tribute one monster. Then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Take control of that target until the end phase. So, you can either change your opponent's battle position on one of their monsters, or tribute one of your monsters to take control of their monster, which means you can get up to all kinds of trickery. So, you don't want to tribute something, you can always budge something into attack or defense mode. Or, by sacrificing a card, you gain their card for a turn, which can be game destroying if you play it at the right moment. And that is Enemy Controller. Our next spell card is Pot of Avarice. This weird looking pot with a toothbrush mustache is the Pot of Avarice. Very grand looking. So, Pot of Avarice. Target 5 monsters in your graveyard. Shuffle all 5 into the deck. Then draw 2 cards. So, it effectively lets you gain a lot of balance. You add 5 cards in your graveyard into the deck. You shuffle, and then you draw 2 cards. So there's a catch, but you get to draw 2 cards. It's a way of pretty much balancing out Pot of Greed, which is one of the most infamous cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just being able to draw 2 cards is way too good. Everyone would use it. So you need to have a kind of drawback, like shuffling 5 monsters into your deck, which isn't even that much of a cost when you think about it. And there is the Pot of Avarice. I love the design for the pot cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! I would drink out of something like this. So, we have the Pot of Avarice. Where are you going? You're going over there. Right. Next, we have a spell card known as March of the Monarchs. This is a card intended for the Monarch archetype, because you can see them all lined up there. All the different monarchs. Looking very cool and badass in the background there. Now this card's intended for the Monarch archetype, but it's a useful continuous spell in its own right. Tribute summon monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can target them with card effects. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So, pretty much at the expense of not being able to summon monsters from the extra deck, tribute summon monsters are pretty much immune to everything, which is very useful. Meaning, you can't hit Slifer with anything, because he takes free tributes. You can't hit Barbaros with anything, because you most likely tribute something for him. So, this is a useful card to have in a deck which has a lot of tribute summoned monsters. And our next spell card is going to be a spell known as Supply Squad. We have the Goblin Attack Force, which are commonly used in the artwork for a lot of silly looking cards. Supply Squad. We have the Goblin Attack Force and the Elite Goblin Attack Force, who looks pretty mad at something. Spell. Once per turn, if a monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, draw a card. So, it's a good little fallback. It's a continuous spell. Every time a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you draw a card. So you lose a card, but you draw a card. It's pretty nice. Silly as it looks, it's very useful in a deck like this. So, our next spell card is going to be Card Advance. We see in the background Tyrant Dragon, which is a classic card in its own right. Card Advance. Look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck and then place them on the top of the deck in any order. You can tribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summon or set this turn. You can only gain this effect once per turn. So, you can rearrange the top 5 cards on your deck so you can check which one you want most is coming soonest. And you gain an extra tribute summon on top of your normal summon that turn. Card Advance lets you advance the game much quicker, on the terms that you like most. Pretty good. Okay. Our next spell card is an incredibly unique one. And it's definitely something that you can understand is anime based. We have the spell card, The True Name. This is based on a heavy plot point in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It's an entire plot point that the Pharaoh, Yami, doesn't know his true name, and he goes by his name Yami for seasons and seasons, but then knowing his name becomes a plot point, and he journeys to find out his true name. Hence, this card being based on that, the true name of the Pharaoh. Now, its effect is quite ridiculous. Declare 1 card name, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it is the declared card, add it to your hand. Then you can add to your hand or special summon 1 divine monster from your deck. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 true name per turn. So, without any trickery or shenanigans, here's how this card works. Say I've got 35 cards in my deck. I need to declare one card out of all of these that I'm going to draw. Now, let's say I declare Slifer. No, in fact, let's say I declare that the next card I'll draw is Monster Reborn. I draw it. So, the True Names ability activates. So, I declare Monster Reborn. I add that to my hand if it's correct. If it isn't, it goes to the graveyard. Now, I declare Monster Reborn. I draw it. Then, I can take out one Divine Beast monster from my deck. Or special summon it. So, if I'm extremely lucky, I can call out a random card in my deck. I declare Monster Reborn. I get Monster Reborn, and I can add Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, or the Winged Dragon of Ra to my hand, or summon it directly, which is an incredible effect. But it requires an insane amount of luck. Hence why it's a good card the anime would use, because Yu-Gi-Oh's known for a lot of moments of pure luck and just screwing the rules. Yami would just shout out a name and the next card would definitely be the one he wanted. But it's a very useful card nonetheless, because you can't use trickier means to get the card you want. For talking's sake, let's say I have card advance. I can rearrange the top 5 cards that I'm going to draw. If I have the True Name in my hand, I know which card's going to be the next one I draw. So, when I activate this, I already know through rearranging that Pot of Avarice is going to be the next card I draw. I declare Pot of Avarice to be the card I draw. I draw Pot of Avarice. I get to add that to my hand. Then I get to add Slifer the Sky Dragon to my hand, or summon it. Or if I had Obelisk or the Winged Dragon of Ra, I could summon them instead, or add them to my hand, making it an incredibly useful but tricky card to pull off. But if you're an anime character and you can screw the rules, it's the most overpowered card ever. I need to draw the right card. If you're the protagonist, you're definitely going to be able to pull that off. Anyways, enough rambling aside, I hope you're enjoying this video. I'm having a lot of fun. I really hope you're enjoying yourself and you're able to relax. Now, our next spell card is going to be One-Time Passcode. We see a scapegoat on the card. One-Time Passcode. Special summon 1 security token, a Cyburst Light level 4 monster, with attack and defense of 2000 in defense position. You can only activate one-time passcode per turn. So, it's just a spell that summons a really useful token. 2000 attack, 2000 defense. That's it. That's really useful. Nothing much I can say about that. It's just one token that's got really good attack and defense, and is a level 4. Yeah. Can't complain about that. That is One-Time Passcode. Our next card is going to be... Let's see. We got free Arima, the Wicked Warden. Well, this is one of the cards that he can help you bring out. Lair of Darkness. All face-up monsters on the field become dark. Once per turn, if you attribute a monster you control to activate a card effect, you contribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control it. Once per turn during the end phase, special summon as many torment tokens, Fiend Dark level 3 attack and defense of 1000 as possible to the turn player's field in defense position, up to the number of monsters tributed, this turn while this card was face up. So, this card lets you turn the enemy's monsters into dark types, and you contribute a dark monster your opponent controls, even if you don't control it, and have been turned into dark types. So you can get up to a lot of really sneaky plays with Lair of Darkness. And we have free copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden, to help us bring out this card. And that is Lair of Darkness. So, our final spell card of this structure deck is a very good one. It pretty much epitomizes Yu-Gi-Oh! When you think about it, and how dramatic it can be. We have the spell card known as Draw of Fate. Draw of Fate. You can see Exodia the Forbidden One in the background. Draw of Fate is a spell card with an effect. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, and your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, even if it's tied, reveal 3 cards with different names from your deck. Place them on top of your deck in random order. Then draw 1 card. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot set spells or traps. Also, you can only activate 1 more card or effect. You can only activate 1 Draw of Fate per turn. So, this is like the ultimate gamble. Let's say I bring out... Let's think of a scenario. I need... Let me think of a scenario. Okay, not the most practical one, but let's say, in order to save myself, I needed Swords of Revealing Light to stall the opponent, like right now. I activate Draw of Fate. I declare 3 cards. I take Swords of Revealing Light that I need. I would take 1 time passcode, and then I would take Monster Reborn. Then, what happens is, I put them on top of my deck in random order, and then I draw 1 card. So, one of those 3 cards I picked is at the top 3 in my deck, but I only get to draw 1, and I don't get to activate effects beyond that 1 effect. So pretty much, I get 3 cards, and then one of them is the one that I really want. If I'm lucky, I draw the one I need, and it's the only thing I can do that turn. So, it's a gamble. You've got a 1 in 3 chance of getting the exact card you want, but it's a way to bring it directly to the top of your deck and draw it. So, if I knew I was going to lose the next turn and I needed Swords of Revealing Light, if I draw that, I can play that right away and save myself. But with a card like this, there's plenty of more practical applications. I just made up a situation off the top of my head. It's not the most realistic. But in the anime, once again, you can imagine the protagonist. Okay, I know this next card's going to be the one I need. Well, if it's Yugi, of course it's going to be the card he wants. But that's part of the fun of the TV show, isn't it? And that was the final spell card, Draw of Fate. Now we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 cards left, and that's the end of this video. So, our first trap card is going to be a classic. The trap card known as Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. Back in the day, this was like your worst fear. Attack into anything was cautious, because this one card changes things so quickly. Sometimes you wouldn't even attack, even if you had the advantage, because you were so scared the opponent would have Mirror Force, because it destroys all your attacking monsters. It's a really good card. There are many more variations of it now throughout the years, but this is the original that started it all. Mirror Force. Our next card, a very simple one, called Reckless Greed, trap card. Now look at this guy. He definitely seems greedy and he definitely seems reckless. We got all the treasure there, but it's under a trap and there's a snake in there. He doesn't seem to care one bit. Reckless Greed. Draw 2 cards and then skip your next 2 draw phases. If you need 2 cards right now, this card's going to do it for you. But you skip your next 2 draw phases. That's incredibly risky. If you need the 2 cards immediately, you can activate this as a trap and get those cards immediately. But there is the big drawback. You don't get to draw a card for 2 turns. It's up to yourself if this card's worth the gamble. But that's all down to your opinion. Next card is our trap card, known as Metal Reflect Slime. Reactor Slime can help you bring this card out. Metal Reflect Slime is an incredible defensive card. It's a continuous trap. Special summon this card in defense position as an effect monster. Aqua Water, level 10, attack of 0, but a defense of 3,000. That's incredible. This card is also still a trap. If summoned this way, this card cannot attack. It doesn't do anything except defend, but it's got 3,000 defense, which is beautiful. Some of the only cards I can think of that have 3,000 defense that don't have really good attack as well are cards from the original game like Labyrinth Wall and Millennium Shield. Very rarely will you need 3,000 defense, but this card lets you have it right away. It doesn't do anything except defend you, but that might be all you need. The only setback is this is both a monster and a trap, so it can be targeted in 2 ways. But 3,000 defense is incredibly good. And don't get it twisted. Our final 2 trap cards. We have our next one. The trap known as the Golden Apples. Looks delicious. The Golden Apples. When you take battle damage while you control no monsters, gain life points equal to the battle damage you took. And if you do, special summon 1 Malice token. Fiend Dark level 1 attack and defense determined. Its attack and defense are equal to the amount of life points you've gained by this effect. So, this is how it works. Say someone attacks me with a Blue Eyes White Dragon directly. I'll take 3,000 points of damage to my life points. Activate the Golden Apples. I instead gain 3,000 life points and summon a token which will gain 3,000 attack. Ooh, that's cool. So, Blue Eyes White Dragon attacks me for 3,000. I gain 3,000 life points, and I gain a token that has 3,000 attack and defense, which is incredible, considering this is just 1 trap card. So, that, is the Golden Apples, a useful utility card. And now, let's end on a humorous note. After seeing many dark magical creatures, gods, and weird designs, let's end on a humorous note with our final trap card, known as Back to the Front. Look at this funny little artwork. We have all these pretty nusses, including this guy, and he's just launched the Marauding Captain, who's a card in his own right. The medic has just launched the Marauding Captain right back into the battlefield. Back to the front. A trap card. Target 1 monster in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position. You just chuck one of your cards from the graveyard back on the field in defense position. That's as straightforward as it is. And they gave it a funny little artwork. And so, that is the final card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Egyptian God deck, Slifer the Sky Dragon. So, here are all our cards, all our promotionals, and that's us completed another Yu-Gi-Oh! ASMR video. I truly hope you've enjoyed this video, my friends. I've enjoyed getting to ramble on about one of the free Egyptian gods. I truly hope this video helps you to relax, get nostalgic about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, or you just want a video to chill out to. Either way, I hope you, no matter who you are or where you are, have a wonderful day. There will be another video coming out the week after this one is released of the next Egyptian god deck of Obelisk the Tormentor. The week that this video is uploaded, the week after, we will be unboxing this. So please, if you'd be interested in that, feel free to check it out. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, feel free to check out the playlist on my channel, in which I'll add every single video on the channel that has even a trace of Yu-Gi-Oh! In it. It'll all be in one long continuous playlist for every one of you to enjoy. Until then, I'll see you next time. This is your friend, AlakazamASMR, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves, my friends. Thank you so much for the support, every single one of you. It's always appreciated. Thank you for your time, and adios, my friends.